estate, they say it's not about what you know, but who you know. And in this Proximity podcast, we have a no BS approach. We're bringing you industry leaders with real solutions and real actionable items you can implement for your real estate business. Grab a pen and paper and listen in while we get up close and personal with some of the best in the biz.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Proximity Podcast. I am calling an emergency session. This is an emergency session. Jake, thanks for hopping on last minute. I have some things I want to talk about today, and I want to bring up a topic, and I want to get your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I'm curious. Well, it's great to be back, and I'm curious about this because I just saw you on another Zoom. We just got off our Locker Room Leadership and Coaching Academy, which for those of you that don't know, it's a ICF certification process. And I saw your face and things change, and you unmuted yourself. So let's hear what you got, man. What just struck you?
So you have those light bulb moments, and we were in this conversation. Okay. So we were in this conversation and I'm listening, and we just went through this exercise where we did this round robin coaching exercise, and then we're breaking everything down and evaluating it. And somebody had said on the call, like, hey, I'm not going to use their name, but hey, I noticed that you inserted some language there that wasn't the other person's, right? And that's a part of coaching. We don't really want to do that because then it tends to lead people in the wrong direction. However, what it got me thinking about is like our language matters, right? Our language matters. And I started thinking about coaching, right? And for me, I asked myself the question internally of what is coaching? Like if somebody were saying to me, if I wanted to coach, what is a coach? I thought about it. And I was like, well, a coach to me represents the coach that I used to have, right? The ones that were like on the sidelines, right? Playing sports, basketball, baseball, all of those things. To me, that is a coach. So you played professional sports. Okay. Like you played pro ball. In your world, tell me what a coach does.
Yeah, I think I see where you're going. So a coach to me, based on my experience, which becomes my conditioning, which becomes the label I assign to a word, I'm with you, was somebody who drew up the X's and O's. They called the plays. They told us where to huddle up. They told us what position or how to grip a bat and hold a ball. They told me basically what to do and where to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Right. They're the person that's screaming at me when I'm doing good. And like, whenever I'm not doing good and maybe I'm in trouble being cut or something like that, they're probably pulling back a little bit. But like a coach is the one that's on the sidelines right there for you. Right. And in this conversation, right, we're learning all the standards of ICF and what it means to be that level of a coach. And what clicked with me all of a sudden is like, okay, there's a difference. There's a difference between my thought of what is coaching, and I wonder like versus what is like the ICF level of coaching, of what a true coach is according to ICF. There is a big difference. And in our real estate space specifically, I think there's a friction moment. I think there's a friction happening potentially. If somebody comes to want a coach, what do they actually want?
Yeah, there's a friction of understanding. I think what you're saying is what we've discovered is what most people want actually is not a coach the way we know it's defined as with true pure coaching. It's more or less like a consultant or a professional advice giver or a mentor where they just expect you to tell you what to do, when what we're learning right now is coaching is actually completely the opposite. It's asking questions, not leading them, and letting them self-discover their own answers, right?
Yeah, because we have all the answers inside of us. Like we all do. We all know exactly what we're supposed to do, or we're resourceful enough to find out. However, I think what sometimes, and I'm guilty of this too, I just want the answers. Maybe I've exhausted all the resources. I've gone out there and I've looked everywhere I can, and I just can't break through. And so where do I turn it in my head? I'm like, I'm going to a coach. I want my coach. I want my old school basketball style of coach to help me through this. Now, what I also realized too is that coach, I tell you, I have some coaches that are the most memorable people in my mind. I think of them. I know exactly where they are. I know what I was doing. I know, like, if I had been running, how much I was sweating, whatever it is. Like, I can remember those moments when they not only push me physically, but they also help me mentally as well.
So let me ask you this then. Okay, I see where you're going with this. So what in your view then would be a perfect blend? So knowing what coaching actually is
Mhm.
and knowing what most people think it is or expect with it, what's that blend and how do we make that its own unique thing, I wonder?
I think, and it's a term, I know it's a term that we use, and I think this is where a lot of dots started connecting, right? You know me, I'm a strategic thinker, think outside the box at 30,000 feet. And all of a sudden, like this magnet just went bam, and they like connected. And I was like, we talk about partnership, like in locker room, we talk about partnership a lot. And yet in a partnership, it's more, right? It's not just coaching, right? It's not just how are you doing, asking all those probing questions to help you self-discover that. And it's learning from other people's mistakes and being guided through stuff. So I think we use this term partnership, and I wonder if we could just blend the two to partnership coaching and take that approach of going, look, our industry is hungry, right? I know people out there are hungry for the answers. And yet there's also power in finding the answers for yourself. And I think that's where coaching lies in with this as well. So I'm not going to, and I think if we were going to hop on a coaching session, right? I'm going to guide you. I'm going to be there, support you. I may critique some things with you, but it's not me out on the field, right? If I'm your coach, maybe I've had my time. Maybe I was out on the field at one point. And yet this is your time to shine, and it's my job to help you through that, to be the best player that you can absolutely be on the field, to get you to where you want to go.
You know, I love that. And something that just hit me as I was listening to you is like, because of that blend, which I think is perfect, like partnership coaching, that's cool. It's care and candor. So for some reason, care and candor popped in my head, like the evil and yin and yang kind of thing. How do people know that you care? It's generally when I, for example, ask a question and I shut up and listen. What does that send the signal of? That I care about you. I'm listening to you. I value, I hear you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not just giving you a in a box answer, or going to tailor it to the unique individual that you are. So the coaching comes in there if I'm tracking with you. And then the candor or the consulting partner piece comes in when applicable to the, hey, I'm going to call you out. I don't need to ask you any questions. I'm just going to call it like I see it. Or, hey, I think you need to do it this way. I'm saving you the headache because you're telling me I don't know. If I knew, I'd be doing it. Insert consultant.
Exactly.
Am I tracking with you?
Yeah,
right?
you're spot on, because I know I believe this. I know you believe this. Like, coaching, you gotta go to the whole person, right? If the person's not right, the business will never be what it can be, right? And so we've got to be able to pivot a little bit with that. And we were on a call a couple days ago, and one of our partners was on there, and they were talking about like the experience that they had and everything. And even though it was like, we were there for them, we were in the trenches with them and all this kind of stuff, and we went that way, all of a sudden it was that subtle reminder of like, we've got to talk about profit. It is important. We've got to talk about this, and we can't shy away from it. If we keep shying away from it, here's what the result could possibly be, which is the consultant side. Like, it's the push to that candor that you're talking about.
That's interesting. Yeah. Because you're right. What is that fine line of asking the questions, which is what we should do as coaches?
Mm-hmm.
Ask the questions, especially the ones that nobody else is willing to ask. And yet, if we're not careful or balance that at least, we may never get to the real root of the issue, because people will dodge and dodge and dodge, or just give you some superficial answer until you say, you know what? I'm going to call BS on that.
That's right.
And just kind of put your foot down and play consultant or partner for a minute. And then you get back into coaching. So I think it's doing the dance with them, never so absolute on one side or another. And again, as you so eloquently said, that's become our own custom language here, is what makes us different. What can people expect with us? It's partnership coaching.
That's right.
And you just more or less define that.
Yeah. Well, and I've shared it with a couple people now, and they're like, wow, it makes so much sense. Like it really resonated with them, and like, okay, let's go. Right. Like it's time for that. So this has been an impromptu. Yeah. What you got?
Well, I want to keep this going for a second,
Okay.
if I may,
Okay.
just real
Yeah.
quick. So you and I came from similar backgrounds, and
Mhm.
so I'm just curious, putting you on the spot.
Okay.
When somebody, when is a time that you received coaching that misaligned with your expectation? You don't have to call out any companies, but just describe that experience maybe of, I thought it was one thing, I received another, and now being in the position you are as our director of growth for the locker room, I think you've got pretty good hindsight. So I'm just curious
Yeah.
what your answer is.
Okay. It was I was at a conference. I was running a great business, had a team, was doing all of that. And I was being called to start teaching a lot. Like I figured out a system that worked for online leads and all this kind of stuff. And I had people knocking on my shoulder, like going, "Hey, can you come teach? Can you come teach? Can you train me how to do that?" And I really, really found my passion for that. And so I'm at this conference, and I've been toying around with this idea of this hole in the industry. And I was like, I can do this. Like there's absolutely a way to do this. And so I'm at this conference, and I happened to see somebody who was kind of in that similar space, right? Ran a great team, and, but they also were kind of in the tech world as well. And so I kind of dodged out of like the general session. I tend to walk around and network and meet people. And I walk up and I was like, "Hey, I want to ask you some questions. Do you mind if I pick your brain a little bit?" And it was one of those moments. It was a moment where I was expecting one answer full of support and all of the things. And they go, "How's your business? Are you at this level yet? Are you able to do this yet?" And I was like, "No." And they said, "No, don't do it. You haven't earned the right to do it." And that was it. And I walked away, and I was pissed. I was so mad. I was so frustrated. And I mean, I walked and I was storming and stomping and stuff. And I mean, I carried that with me for a while. And I know this is where you and I are very similar. I mean, it was a chip on my shoulder. And I was like, watch me, right? Like it was a watch me moment. However, hindsight, they were right. I should have taken the time to actually put that in place and secure a few more things. I mean, I was right there. Like I was right there to being able to really have a great team, because it was going to require me to actually move. And so like it would have allowed me to still had everything running and operating and not just fizzle the business out like it did.
Now that you bring that story up, I remember that. But one more thing, diving
Yeah.
into like the standard one-on-one routine thing. Well, your experience was a lot like mine. It was just basically a robocall, and
Oh gosh.
what'd you do this week? What did you do last week? Why or why not? Blah blah blah. Oh, 30 minutes is up next. And I want to you share this, but there was a time or multiple times when they didn't even know your name. Is that right?
Yeah, I hired this company. I hired this company one
here.
time. I hired this company one time, and I wanted to help me on a very specific thing. Like it was like, I want help on this one thing. You say you're the expert in this. I want this training. And at the time, they weren't taking on a ton of clients with this, so I wasn't in the mix of a ton of people, right? Like I know this individual didn't have a ton of clients because this was a fairly new program that was being launched. Yeah. So I get on the first call, and it was around the tech space and doing some tech stuff. And I get on the first call, and they're like, "All right, hey Benson, how can I, what could be a great session for us today?" I was like, "Well, first off, my name's Nathan. So no big deal, strike one, whatever." Next call. So we go on with the call. Next call. "Well, how was Benson this week?" I was like, "You got to be freaking kidding me. Like, are you kidding me right now?" I said, it's Nathan. And at this point, my blood's boiling, and I was ready to be off the call. I was like, "Are you joking?" So then third call comes around, and he does it again. Did it 3 times in a row. I was like, "I'm done." Called the company. I said, your guy can't even get my name right. How do I expect him to actually I've lost all respect for him. And unfortunately, your company as well. So like that happened. So I knew he wasn't in it for me. Like I knew he wasn't in it for me.
And I think that's the lesson. That's why I went there. I know it took a little bit of extra time here, but what we're saying is the beautiful blend of partnership coaching is having the skill set and the ability to ask great questions and shut up. It's putting the person first. It's not my agenda, it's their agenda. Balanced with, being able to advise and consult and mentor when appropriate by giving and telling and sharing, right? And one extreme is somebody asking all the questions in the world and you get frustrated because like, dude, I don't know, just tell me. Mm-hmm. And then the other extreme is being called Benson because they're too worried about their own ego and how much they know and how much they just want to tell you. Yeah. So I love this of what this is mounting to be, of this blend of partnership coaching and what that stands for. And I just want to illustrate it through knowing some of your story there.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Thanks for being the guinea pig for it.
I was guinea pig, but no, I had this and I was like, we have to have this call because I think this is a big topic. Like I said earlier, I think it's a big friction point. I feel in our industry that people want coaching, but without understanding what coaching according to traditional coaching is. And I think it is this blend of partnership coaching where somebody on the sidelines, like a traditional sports coach would be alongside of a now coach, take those two together. And that's what it is.
Well, the way I hear it is this: you just delivered on our proximity promise, right? You're hearing from two guys here, but we just came from moments ago, a Zoom call with big time thinkers, big time doers, really incredible, talented leaders. And that proximity to them carried over right here for the listeners and viewers to take something fresh on your mind. I completely follow what you're saying. Yeah. And that in and of itself is the proximity promise, not only just bringing people to our audience, but also the rooms that we find ourselves in and bringing that content right here for everybody.
That's right. That's right. So that's all I have. I would say if y'all found value in this and y'all want us to do more of these riffs, I don't know what you want to call this, but like locker room riff or whatever it is, like this is just let us know. Like we'd love to hear from you. And as we go to different events and conferences or whatever it might be, we will absolutely hop on and do more of these if you wanted to. So be sure to like, subscribe, comment. We'd love to hear from you. And go check out the groups. Of course, I got to end with, go check out the groups, Broker Talk, Agent Talk. And like you mentioned, the Academy, like absolutely go check out the Academy as well. So how do they find out about the Academy, Jake?
Well, first of all, partnership coaching for the win. And second of all, you can actually find us. The easiest way to communicate with us is actually find us on Facebook. We have an Academy, the Locker Room Leadership and Coaching Academy page, business page. We're behind the scenes actively responding and stuff like that. So follow us there and get involved.
Yeah. And shout out to Kit for having inspiring a very powerful conversation today. Kit, you rock. So that's all I've got. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Proximity Podcast. We'll catch y'all on the next episode.
Thanks for listening to the Proximity Podcast. We hope you'll implement the real solutions and real action items into your real estate business. Be sure and subscribe to get updates on new episodes and join us on Facebook where industry professionals go to collaborate. Don't forget to hit us with your feedback and likes. We'd love to hear from our raving fans. Until next time.